Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
What if the greatest power you could ever master wasn't loud, but silent? What if winning had less to do with speed and more to do with waiting? And what if patience, the one thing most ignore, was the secret edge of true success? There is a power most men never master, not because it is hidden, but because it is quiet: patience. The ability to wait without weakening, to plan without panic, to prepare while others rush. In a world addicted to instant results, the man who waits wins. Patience allows you to observe longer, think deeper, and strike with precision when the moment is right. How do you build such strength? It begins in silence and ends in victories that appear effortless. Patience becomes your sharpest weapon: to wait, to strike, and to win with intelligence. True power is born in silence, not in noise. You've been told that struggle must be seen to count, but that is false. The greatest victories were forged in silence, where no one clapped, no one watched, and no one believed. You grow strongest when unseen, because in silence, you are not distracted, not reacting. You are designing, becoming. Why do some men fall while others rise in the same soil? The answer is patience. A seed does not scream when buried. It waits quietly until it breaks the ground with force. Waiting is not weakness, it is precision. While others rush, you prepare. While they announce, you plan. And when the time comes, you move, leaving others wondering how you acted so suddenly. Picture a blacksmith in a quiet forge. No crowd, only sparks, sweat, and steel. With each patient strike, he shapes something unseen. Then one day, the sword is finished, and the world finally beholds a masterpiece. But only he knows how long it took. Have you mistaken visibility for progress? Are you chasing noise instead of building strength? What you create in silence is what endures when the noise fades. Your delayed reaction becomes your greatest weapon. Victory isn't won by reacting fast. It's won by responding right. A lion doesn't leap at every sound. It waits, studies, stalks, and then strikes. Most men live in constant reaction. Something happens, they panic, they shout, they rush. But not you. You will learn the art of delayed power, holding your energy not from weakness, but from calculation. The longer you observe, the clearer your target. Your breath slows, your blade sharpens. And when you finally act, it is not emotional, it is decisive. Why does patience give you power? Because the world expects haste. They expect you to flinch, to argue, to fight back. Instead, you surprise them. You smile, you listen, you wait. Then, when the opening comes, you move with certainty, leaving them stunned. Imagine a room full of loud voices, everyone fighting to be heard. You sit silently, and at the right moment, you speak. One sentence, and the entire room falls quiet. When you don't react, you force others to reveal themselves. When you wait, they grow careless. That is when you win. So ask yourself, are you reacting or are you studying? The man who waits watches the world shift in his favor. Everything you want is already in motion. Success is moving. Love is moving. Wealth is moving. Respect is moving. But not everything is moving toward you. And here lies the trap. If you chase everything that passes by, you may end up farther from it than when you began. You must understand this principle. Movement without purpose is just noise, but stillness with preparation is power. The world does not reward the man who runs wildly after every spark. It rewards the man who burns quietly, who prepares with patience, and becomes a magnet for what truly belongs to him. Impatience marks the uncertain man. He sees something beautiful and believes he must seize it immediately or lose it forever. Yet nothing of true value is rushed. A mango pulled too early is sour. A man who runs into greatness without readiness is crushed by the weight of it. The world does not ignore you because you are still. It studies you. It watches to see why you are still. Is your stillness fear, or is it rootedness? Is your silence weakness, or wisdom? When you prepare with quiet strength, life takes notice. It rearranges circumstances. It clears paths, not for those who run, but for those who are ready. This is not passivity, it is magnetic patience. You are not avoiding the race. You are sharpening your blade before the battle. You are laying the foundation before the storm. And when opportunity arrives, it will not demand chasing. It will land in your palm like fruit dropping from the tree, because you waited until it was ripe. Why does patience attract power? Because the universe respects discipline, and patience is discipline disguised as stillness. It is the art of preparing while others are distracted. It is the strength to wait without wasting time, to grow without needing applause, to become more even when unseen. Think of the mountain climber. He does not sprint to the peak. He studies the terrain, prepares his body, and respects the mountain. While others rush ahead and collapse halfway, he conserves his energy. He climbs with rhythm, not emotion. And when he reaches the summit, he does not simply arrive, he remains. That is what patience builds in you. Endurance, longevity, power that does not collapse. The impatient man burns bright and fades quickly, but the prepared man shines steadily for years. Ask yourself, are you forcing life to move on your timing? Or are you becoming the man who deserves what he desires? Are you rushing into relationships, careers, and goals that are not yet ready? Or are you learning, building, and growing, so that when the right thing arrives, you are ready to hold it? Patience is not weakness. It is wisdom in motion. It is a man standing still, yet advancing within. Each day he learns. Each day he strengthens his mind. Each day he increases his value until the world itself feels his weight, his gravity. And when that moment comes, he does not need to chase. He does not beg. The world brings him what he has earned. So stand still, not with idleness, but with intention. Let the world come to the man who has made himself ready. The one who masters timing, masters everything. Power is not in constant motion, but in motion at the right moment. It is not about acting now, but knowing exactly when to act. A man who moves too soon finds the ground unsteady. His bridge collapses under weight that time could have strengthened. The man who waits too long sees opportunity vanish like a train he was too slow to catch. But the man who acts with perfect timing does more than succeed. He reshapes the world around him. Timing is the hidden weapon of the wise. It is not loud or flashy, yet it decides everything. Most men confuse movement with progress. They run not from certainty, but from fear of standing still, fear of being left behind, fear of being unseen. But you are not most men. You are learning to sense the season, to see that not all moments are equal. Action taken too early becomes chaos. Action taken too late becomes regret. True power lies not in speed, but in synchronization, aligning your step with the right hour. Why is timing more powerful than action itself? Because most men act from fear. They move because they are nervous, because others move, and they feel forced to follow. They fear missing out. Yet fear-based action is never strategic. It is survival. And survival alone will not lead to greatness. You must be like the farmer. The wise farmer does not scatter seeds in the snow. He does not rush into spring with a sickle, desperate to harvest what has not even bloomed. Instead, he watches, he studies the soil, he reads the clouds. He knows when to wait and when to work. Because he respects timing, he reaps more with less effort. The seasons are not his to control, but his response to them is. And that is where his power lies. You are no different. Life has its seasons. There is a time to speak and a time to remain silent. A time to build and a time to tear down. A time to advance and a time to wait. If you rush the process, you ruin the result. But if you train your instincts, mastering patience, observation, and awareness, you will act at the exact moment that ensures success. Timing demands discipline. It asks for trust in your preparation. It requires that you observe instead of panic, plan instead of react. The man who moves on time does not need to force doors open. They swing wide because he has arrived in alignment with purpose. Now ask yourself, have you been acting from panic or from purpose? Have you spoken too soon, launched too early, forced things before they were ready? Or have you trained yourself to wait, not in laziness, but with strategy? The man who controls timing never begs for results. He commands them, not because he is louder, not because he is luckier, but because he knows what most do not. Everything comes to the man who waits for his moment and then strikes without hesitation. This is not about being slow. It is about being prepared. You are not delaying life. You are building strength, building clarity, sharpening your tools, so that when the right door opens, you step through fully prepared. You will become the man who senses the shift in the air, who knows when the tide is turning, who listens to the rhythm of life and moves in harmony with it. That is when power feels effortless. That is when you stop chasing and start arriving. Train yourself to recognize the season. The clock of destiny does not tick loudly, but it ticks for the man who listens. And when your moment comes, you will know. You will move, and the world will respond. Quiet preparation makes loud victory inevitable. Victory is not earned on the battlefield. It is secured long before the first strike. It belongs to the man already prepared. The war itself becomes a formality when the real battle has been fought in silence, in the shadows, with discipline and deliberate effort when no one was watching. You do not sharpen your sword in the fight. You sharpen it before. You prepare in the quiet hours, when others are asleep, when no applause or spotlight is there. Only you, your mission, and the steady grind of self-mastery. That is where your edge is carved, where your advantage is born. While others are loud with intention, you are quiet with preparation. And in time, the difference is undeniable. You do not win because you shout louder. You win because your sword was ready before theirs was even drawn. You win because your reflexes were trained, your mind was clear, and your body was prepared. Not on the day of battle, but through the hundreds of days before it. Why does quiet preparation matter? Because the world celebrates performance, yet forgets the rehearsal. It sees the victory, but rarely asks how it was built. But you understand what most overlook. You know public power is only possible through private preparation. The more you sweat in practice, the less you bleed in conflict. The man who trains in silence is never caught off guard. He does not rely on luck or adrenaline. He relies on the certainty that comes from readiness. He does not panic. He does not flinch. He has already faced the moment in his mind, body, and heart again and again. Picture a boxer, not famous, no endorsements, no cameras, just a man training in a dim basement. For 5 years he sweats, he spars, he studies tapes. He perfects his stance, sharpens his timing. While others talk, he toils. Then the day arrives. He enters the ring, not to try, but to execute. And he dominates. Not because of what he did that day, but because of every single day before it. The real fight was never in the arena. It was in the dark hours when he was overlooked, underestimated, and unknown. That is the preparation that builds unshakable confidence. Not arrogance or noise, but the quiet certainty that says, I have paid the price. So I ask you, are you preparing like you mean it? Or are you waiting for life to surprise you? Because life will test you, ready or not. Life will present the opportunity, the challenge, the crisis. And if you have not trained, you will panic, you will scramble, you will lose. But if you have prepared, you will respond, not react. You will move with clarity and act with control. Your mind will be conditioned, your soul fortified, your strength stored in silence. Separation is not wasted, nor is it invisible. It is stored power. And when the moment arrives, it will speak for you. You will not need to announce it or prove it. Your presence will say everything. Your actions will be sharp, your results undeniable, because you prepared when no one was watching. That is the way of the warrior. Do not wait for opportunity to appear to begin training. That is too late. Prepare now, prepare daily. Build yourself in private so the world cannot shake you in public. The battle is not won on the day of the fight. It is won in the still hours of preparation, in the unseen sacrifices, in the effort no one praises. When the world calls on you, you will not rise to the occasion. You will rise to the level of your preparation. You build reputation with patience and destroy it with impulse. Reputation is your shadow. It follows you everywhere, whether you notice it or not. It speaks before you enter a room and lingers after you leave. It is shaped not by your victories or your declarations, but by the small, silent moments when no one is applauding. It is shaped by how you hold yourself, not just how you promote yourself. One careless word, one reckless reaction, one eruption of pride or anger. That is all it takes to undo a year of patience, discipline, and grace. Your name is not built in a day, but it can be broken in a moment. This is why true strength lies in restraint. Not silence born of fear, but silence born of strategy. Not action out of uncertainty, but deliberate stillness because you are wise. People do not trust the loudest voice. They trust the calmest presence. The man who pauses before speaking, who listens with intention, who weighs his words, not from timidity, but because he knows his words carry weight. Power is not in proving a point. It is in holding your dignity above the need to be right in every moment. Why does patience protect your name? Because when you delay action, you invite wisdom. You allow emotions to settle. You give your soul time to weigh the consequences. Patience is not avoidance. It is leadership over your lower nature. It is command over your impulses, and that control becomes visible to others. It radiates. It earns trust. It earns respect. But when you rush, when you act from anger, fear, or ego, you hand the steering wheel to emotion, and emotion is a terrible driver. It wrecks reputations, burns bridges, and builds a name no one relies on for long. Imagine a man in court, falsely accused of a crime he did not commit. The room is crowded, the air heavy with judgment. Whispers fill the hall. All eyes watch him, not to hear his defense, but to see his reaction. Will he explode? Will he break? Will he confirm their suspicions with a single outburst? Instead, he stands calm, measured. When he speaks, his voice is low yet certain. His face shows pain, but not panic. Not because he is weak, but because his strength rests in restraint. He knows that in this moment, his behavior speaks louder than any speech. Slowly, even the doubters begin to believe, not because of his defense, but because of his discipline. This is the power of reputation built through patience. Your name is not what you claim it to be. It is what others whisper when you are not there. That name is shaped moment by moment, with every choice, every reaction, every pause when your ego urges you to speak, every deep breath when the world tempts you to lash out. What kind of name are you building? Are you the man who guards his words like precious coins, or the one who spends them carelessly and hopes to repair the damage later? Do you wield silence as a weapon of strength or reveal it as a lack of control? The man who guards his name like treasure lives rich in trust, power, and influence, because others know that when he speaks, it matters. When he acts, it is thoughtful. When he is silent, it is calculation, not weakness. The world will always try to provoke you. It will test your pride. It will misjudge you. It will pressure you to react. But your discipline is your defense. Your restraint is your strategy. Remember, reputation is not a banner you wave. It is a foundation you build. And every quiet decision, every patient response, every dignified silence lays another stone. So guard your name. Guard it like treasure. Once it is lost, it is not easily reclaimed. But when it is protected, it becomes your most powerful currency. Let your name be your fortress. Let your shadow walk before you with honor. And let the world learn that the man who speaks last speaks loudest. Every delay is an invitation to go deeper, not to give up. Most men misunderstand delay. To them, it feels like rejection, as if life has said no. They whisper to themselves, "It didn't happen, so it never will." And in that doubt, they stop moving. They give up on their goal. They lower their standard. But you must be different. Train your mind to see delay not as denial, but as direction. Delay does not mean the door is closed. It means you are not yet ready to walk through it. Delay says, not now, but prepare. Not yet, but refine. The impatient man takes delay personally. He sees it as failure, throws down his tools, curses the sky, and walks away. But the wise man, the patient man, receives delay as instruction. He knows timing is a language, and delay is how life teaches him to strengthen what is weak. Delay is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the universe asking, are you truly ready to hold what you've asked for? Why are delays so powerful? Because they reveal what you didn't know you lacked. They expose the cracks in your foundation. They test your character when the applause is gone and the lights are off. Delays force you to confront your blind spots, your laziness, your excuses. And in that pressure, in that silence, you face two choices: collapse or grow. If success comes too soon, it often slips through your fingers. You may gain the opportunity, but not the endurance, the platform, but not the preparation, the title, but not the wisdom to carry its weight. Without that inner strength, what looks like a blessing becomes a burden. But when success arrives on time, after your development, it fits, not loosely, not forcefully, but like a tailored suit. Like armor, it protects instead of crushing you, because you have become the man who can sustain what he has received. Picture this. You are building a bridge across a powerful river. Eager to cross, you rush the job. You skip steps, cut corners, and when the first storm comes, the bridge collapses, all your effort gone. But if you take your time, study the current, test the beams, and choose the right wood, you build something stronger. You build something that not only carries you, but carries others. It becomes a structure others rely on. That is the reward of honoring delay. So ask yourself, do you see delay as punishment or preparation? When something doesn't happen right away, do you retreat into frustration, or do you refocus and go deeper? Do you stop showing up, or do you use the pause to sharpen your mind and strengthen your body and clarify your path? The man who uses delay to strengthen his foundation becomes unshakable. He is not defeated by disappointment or broken by waiting. He understands that every extra day is a gift, a chance to become better than yesterday. Delay does not mean no. It means more is required. It means the reward is still being shaped, and so are you. Here's the truth. When you change your view of delay, you change your destiny. Instead of quitting early, you rise stronger. Instead of doubting yourself, you double down on growth. You turn delay into discipline, waiting into wisdom. The result is not just reaching your goal, you own it. The greatest things in life rarely come quickly. Oak trees do not grow in days. Cathedrals are not built overnight. And the man of character, the man of legacy, is never formed in a rush. He is forged in delay, in the space between desire and delivery, in the stillness where others quit, but he continues. So when life says not yet, do not shrink back. Dig deeper. Delay is not denial, it is direction. And if you walk that path with patience, it will lead you to everything meant for you. On time, fully prepared, unstoppable. The strongest decisions are made in stillness. Most people decide in noise, under pressure, surrounded by voices, urgency, emotion, and chaos. They choose not from clarity, but from panic. Not from principle, but from impulse. In that atmosphere, judgment becomes clouded, vision blurred, and the heart rushed. The result is regret, often disguised as boldness. But you must choose a different path. The strongest decisions are not born in noise, but in silence, in stillness, in solitude. It is in the quiet spaces, when the world stops screaming and your own voice can finally be heard. You don't need to move fast, you need to move right. And to move right, you must think clearly. That clarity is never found while reacting to everything around you. It comes only when you pause, when you let the dust settle and allow your mind to focus. Stillness is not weakness, it is discipline. It is the strength to wait before acting, the courage to think deeply when the world demands quick answers. In a culture that glorifies speed and urgency, stillness becomes a rare and powerful rebellion. It is not about doing nothing. It is about measured movement, the kind born of awareness, not anxiety. Why is stillness the birthplace of good judgment? Because acting without reflection is not deciding, it is reacting. And reaction, when disconnected from wisdom, is dangerous. Without pause, you cannot see the full picture. You mistake emotion for truth, urgency for importance. But when you pause, you separate impulse from insight. You do not just do what feels right, you do what is right. Picture yourself as the captain of a ship at sea. Suddenly, a storm rises. Waves crash, winds scream, skies darken. Everything in you wants to grab the wheel and steer wildly. Anything to feel in control. But a wise captain does not steer in panic. He waits. He does not ignore the storm, but he refuses to be controlled by it. He finds the North Star, studies the wind, and calculates his path. Then he steers, not recklessly, but deliberately. That is the difference between the man who decides in noise and the man who decides in clarity. Stillness is where direction is found. It is where you remember your values, where you see the cost clearly, where you listen to your soul instead of the shouts of others. This matters even more in a world filled with constant distractions, opinions, social media, endless alerts. Everyone talking, everyone rushing, everyone reacting. But what if you chose not to be like everyone else? What if instead of adding to the noise, you withdrew from it? Not forever, but long enough to hear yourself again. You may be shocked by how much wisdom you already carry once you make space for it. Then ask yourself, are your decisions born from clarity or chaos? Are you moving because you have thought it through, or because you fear standing still? Stillness is not an action. It is measured movement. It is direction with purpose. It is saying, I will not be rushed by panic. I will not be dragged by opinion. I will move when I am ready, when truth, not fear, leads me. And here is the truth. The best decisions you will ever make will not come from pressure. They will come from peace. The best paths you will ever choose will come from reflection, not reaction. And the best version of you will rise, not in the chaos of noise, but in the strength of stillness. So when life storms around you, pause. When urgency tries to steal your focus, breathe. When others push you to react, wait. The one who rules his inner world can navigate the outer world with unmatched power. Let others rush, let others react, but you be still. Then move, not wildly, but with wisdom. Patience reveals the truth that haste always hides. Truth has its own rhythm. It does not shout or demand attention. It rises quietly, patiently, inevitably, but only if you let it. Only if you resist the urge to rush. The moment you push, force, or act prematurely, you interrupt truth's natural emergence. You place your hopes above your vision. In doing so, you trade clarity for comfort. When you rush, you do not see things as they are, but as you want them to be. Yet when you wait, when you hold steady in stillness and silence, the mask slips. Truth stands bare, not because you chased it, but because you gave it space to reveal itself. People often show their true nature, not through words, but through time. If you are wise, grounded, and patient enough to watch instead of react, they will eventually betray their own image, not to you, but to the clock. Time is the great revealer, and for the man who observes, it is also a protector. Why does truth belong to the patient? Because time has no loyalty to lies. It wears down performance. It erodes deception. The actor forgets his script, the liar forgets his version, and what remains is not the crafted image but the core. And only the patient man sees it. Haste blinds you. It distorts judgment, forcing decisions before evidence arrives. That blindness costs you peace, power, and direction. It leads to regret. But when you wait, you gain more than time. You gain vision. You learn. You begin to see patterns others miss. The shift in tone, the inconsistency in action, the silence where words should have been. Patience doesn't just slow you down, it sharpens you. Imagine this. You meet someone, a business partner, a romantic interest, a potential friend. They seem charming, confident, persuasive. Everything feels perfect. The temptation is to move fast, to trust quickly, to lock in what seems right. But you wait, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You ask questions, you listen deeply. You don't rush to fill the silence, you observe. And then, like oil rising to the surface of water, the truth appears. It might be a small contradiction, a flash of anger, or how they treat someone when they think no one is watching. But now you see, not because you pressed, but because you paused. In that pause, truth had room to breathe. How many times have you paid the price for rushing? How many deals, relationships, or opportunities did you dive into with enthusiasm, only to uncover later a truth you could have known had you just waited? Truth is not a secret hiding from you. It is a signal waiting for your stillness. Move too quickly, and you override the signal. Sit quietly, and you receive it. Given enough time, people always reveal who they are, not through words, but through patterns, through consistency, or the lack of it. Once you see it, you'll know exactly what to do. There is power in the man who waits, who watches, who listens. He is not passive, he is prepared. He does not need to control others because he controls himself. And in that discipline, he gains what the rushing man never will, clarity. The rushing man may look confident, but he is desperate to confirm what he hopes is true. The patient man may appear calm, but he is uncovering what is true. And that difference defines the outcome. So train yourself to wait. Not endlessly, not aimlessly, but with intention. Sharpen your ability to observe without assumption. Sit in rooms, watch people. Let their words echo, let their actions unfold. Allow the truth to surface. And when it does, you will be ready. Not because you chased it, but because you welcomed it. That is how the wise win. Not by rushing toward clarity, but by waiting for it to rise. The quiet man commands the loud room. There is a kind of power in silence that no amount of noise can replicate. It cannot be faked, borrowed, or forced. It is earned. The quiet man is not empty. He is precise. He does not beg for attention. He commands it. He does not chase the room. The room eventually turns to face him. In a world obsessed with noise, commentary, and reaction, the man who can sit still, who can remain steady while others flail, stands apart. He becomes a figure of strength, of focus, of mystery. And in leadership, mystery often carries more weight than charisma. When you speak less, each word grows sharper, heavier. People lean in, they listen. Why? Because you have trained them to expect value when you speak, not volume. In a marketplace of noise, value is rare, and what is rare becomes respected. Likewise, when you move less, your actions speak louder. The man who acts without explanation builds an aura. His silence becomes the canvas on which others project strength, meaning, purpose. He moves when he must, not when he feels. And in that discipline, in that restraint, leadership begins. Why does the quiet man lead? Because restraint is rare, and what is rare is always valuable. It is easy to talk, easy to interrupt, easy to react. But it is hard to hold your fire, hard to wait, hard to study before speaking. Most men lack that discipline. So when someone possesses it, people notice, even if they cannot explain why. The loud man may win the moment, may draw applause, may flood the room with energy. But his dominance fades quickly because it is not anchored. It is built on emotion, not intention. The quiet man, however, wins the room. Its respect, its legacy. Picture a general before battle. The tents are filled with nervous energy. Officers argue, messengers rush, plans change by the minute. Everyone speaks, everyone tries to prove readiness. But the general sits silent, still focused. He does not need to interrupt or force authority. His authority is already established in how he carries himself. And when he finally speaks, everyone stops, not because they were ordered, but because they want to. His silence made his words rare. His restraint gave his voice command. This is the paradox of the quiet man. By saying less, he says more. So ask yourself, do you speak simply to be heard, or because you must? Is your silence empty, or filled with purpose? There is a difference between silence out of fear and silence out of power. The first hides, the second builds. One avoids conflict, the other controls it. One escapes, the other strategizes. When your silence is intentional, you are not withholding. You are watching, collecting information, studying the room, understanding motives, and planning your next move. And when you do speak, it is not to add to the noise, but to end it. That is the kind of influence that lasts. Not loud, not desperate, but deliberate. The man who waits to speak does not just command attention, he commands influence. People trust those who do not feel the need to fill every silence. They respect those who don't rush to prove themselves. The quiet man seems to already know, and that knowing becomes magnetic. Stillness becomes his armor, precision his weapon. His presence fills a room before he utters a word. So let others chase the spotlight. Let others race to speak. You build your strength in stillness. Let your words be few, but forceful. Let your actions be quiet, but undeniable. In the end, the world listens not to those who shout the loudest, but to those who speak the least and mean it the most. Let your silence be your strength. Let your calm be your signature. And let your presence achieve what noise never could, moving people without a word. You win nothing by rushing what is not ready. There is a reason the finest meals take hours, sometimes days, to prepare. The best dishes are never rushed. They are layered, simmered, tested. Ingredients rest, flavors develop, and the result is unforgettable. The same principle holds true in life. The best buildings take years, not weeks. The strongest minds are forged over decades, not days. The greatest legacies are built one brick at a time, not with a sprint, but with patience. Yet most men forget this. They rush the process. They want results without readiness, mastery without apprenticeship, the reward without waiting for the harvest. And when it all crumbles, they blame bad luck or bad timing. But the truth is simpler and sharper. It is not a patience problem. It is a pride problem. Pride says, I should already have it. Patience says, I will earn it when the time is right. You must understand this at a deep level. What you force fails, but what you nurture grows. This is the law of nature, of success, of character. You cannot force something or someone to be ready just because you are eager. Readiness is the union of timing and preparation. Without one, the other cannot stand. Why does patience protect your outcome? Because it teaches you to respect timing. It trains you to listen, study, adjust, and refine. A fruit picked too early is hard, bitter, and useless. That same fruit, picked at full ripeness, is sweet, nourishing, valuable. The difference is not effort, it is timing. Think of a farmer. He does not tug at crops to make them grow faster, nor shout at the sky to bring rain sooner. He prepares the soil, plants the seeds, waters them daily, then waits, not passively, but actively. He observes, protects, adjusts, and trusts the process. Because of this, he reaps a harvest that is rich and lasting. Now picture a young apprentice in a master craftsman's shop. Eager to prove himself, he builds a wooden chair. But he rushes, gluing joints hastily, sanding corners quickly, skipping the patient details his teacher emphasizes. The master watches and says gently, "If you do it fast, it won't last." But the apprentice ignores him. He finishes the chair in a day, shows it off proudly, and for a week it stands tall. Yet within a month it breaks. A leg snaps, joints loosen, the shine fades. His speed won him pride, but cost him permanence. What in your life are you rushing right now? A relationship you're forcing forward because you're tired of waiting? A decision you're making too soon just to silence your anxiety? A dream you're chasing before you've built the skill, strength, and strategy? Ask yourself, am I building something that will last, or just something that looks good for now? Because the things that last, the things the world remembers, are never rushed. They are built slowly, deliberately. They stand the test of time because they were born of patience, not pressure. Think of the pyramids, the cathedrals, the great inventions, the masterpieces of art and literature. None of them were finished in a day, yet centuries later we still speak of them. Not because they were fast, but because they were worth the wait. And the same is true for your life. What you're building, your craft, your name, your future, deserves time, care, and discipline. So slow down. Study your materials. Refine your tools. Don't aim to finish fast. Aim to finish well. Because fast success fades, but slow success endures. In a world that rushes, be the one who waits. Not out of fear, but because you're building something worth remembering. When you wait, you gain control over the outcome. Control does not come from chaos. It does not come from running faster than everyone else, talking louder, or making decisions in panic. Real control, lasting, unshakable, sovereign control, comes from steadiness. From the man who remains still when others shake. From the mind that slows down when the world speeds up. Most men confuse speed with strength. They think constant motion keeps them ahead. They confuse noise with direction. But motion without meaning is not momentum. It is madness. They run in circles, exhausting themselves without ever arriving. But you, if you want to lead, to build, to last, must rise above the pull of speed. You must learn the art of waiting with intention. Why? Because when you wait, you see more. You don't just react, you observe. You don't just move, you calculate. You notice what others miss. The hidden flaw, the silent warning, the subtle opportunity. Like a sculptor studying a block of marble, you see the grain, the cracks, the texture. So when you carve, no motion is wasted. Every strike has purpose. Impatience is the destroyer of vision. It is the lie that urges you to act now for fear something may slip away. But what is meant for you does not vanish in a moment. It waits for the man who is ready. And readiness is never built in a rush. It is built in silence, solitude, and stillness. Waiting gives you control not just by delaying action, but by sharpening perception. When you resist the impulse, you make room for wisdom. When you hold back the urge, you create space for strategy. From that space comes clarity. From clarity comes certainty. And from certainty comes power. Picture a captain guiding his ship along a jagged coastline. The fog rolls in, visibility disappears. What does he do? He does not panic. He does not sail blindly into the dark. He anchors. He studies. He watches the sky, the water, the rhythm of the tide. He checks the stars. And when the air clears, then he moves. He sails not with guesswork, but with guidance. That is control, not found in domination, not in rushing past the storm, but in mastering your response to it. So ask yourself right now, are you acting out of anxiety, or are you acting from clarity? Is your current path one you chose with a clear mind, or one you were pressured into by fear and haste? The man who waits does not fall behind. He takes command of time itself. He decides what matters. He directs where his hours go. He sets the pace. While others react, scramble, and switch lanes, he is designing, deciding, leading. Control is not power over people. It is power over yourself, over your focus, over your emotional triggers, over your reactions. And the first step toward mastery begins when you stop rushing to be in charge and start preparing to take charge. Most men race to prove they're not behind. forgetting that the man in the lead is not always the one who wins. The one who wins is the man who knows where he's going. The man who sees the whole field, who knows when to act and when to pause. He acts with restraint, and because of that, his strike is precise, his aim true. In your life, you may feel tempted to act fast, to respond to pressure, to silence doubt by doing something, anything, right now. But pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this noise or is this a signal? Is this urgency or is this distraction? The man who masters his moments does not fear the silence between them. He uses them, he shapes them, and through that discipline, he becomes a force no chaos can shake. So begin here. The next time you feel the rush to act, wait, long enough to think, long enough to see what others are missing, long enough to gather not just facts but insight. Then move, not from fear but from faith, not from pressure but from purpose. That is control, and it is forged not in the storm but in the stillness before it. Patience protects you from choosing the wrong enemy. A careless word spoken in haste can ignite a war that never needed to be fought. A sharp reply, a rushed decision, a hasty judgment, these are not marks of strength. They reveal a man who has not yet mastered himself. And that lack of mastery over time becomes a weakness others will exploit. You don't need to answer every insult. You don't need to defend yourself against every fool with an opinion. The more time you spend proving your worth to those who don't matter, the less time you have to become someone who does. A man of wisdom doesn't waste his days reacting. He responds only when it serves a purpose, not to satisfy ego, not to win petty debates, but to create lasting impact. Why is patience such a powerful defense? Because it brings your emotions under command. It separates the signal from the noise. It teaches you to pause, to wait, to observe before you act. And in that pause, you gain more than momentary satisfaction. You gain perspective, clarity, and control. Patience becomes the armor that guards your focus. It keeps you from bleeding energy on those unworthy of it. It stops you from planting seeds in dead soil. While others waste themselves reacting, consumed by drama, provoked by every slight, you remain steady, working, watching, growing. Picture a wise old statesman. He is slandered in the papers. Whispers circle his name. Rivals bark loudly. But he does not respond. He does not explain. He does not retaliate. He continues to build, to serve, to lead. Because he knows the noise fades, but his work endures. In time, the critics lose breath, the gossipers move on, but his name, his legacy, that becomes something even his enemies must respect. The man who spends his life chasing every accusation ends up breathless and bitter. But the man who guards his fire, who saves his energy for battles that matter, wins not only the war, but also his peace. So look at your own life. Who are you trying to prove yourself to? What argument still circles in your mind that you should have released months ago? What small conflict has distracted you from your greater mission? The truth is, not every challenge deserves your time. Not every person deserves your explanation. You are not in the business of reaction. You are in the business of results. And results are born from patience, discipline, and focus. Yes, it takes strength to speak, but it takes greater strength to stay silent until the time is right. It takes courage to act, but it takes wisdom to know when not to act. Patience does not make you weak, it makes you strategic. It is how you hold your position while the storm passes. It is how you conserve your power while others waste theirs. And it is how you strike only when it counts. With precision, with timing, with impact. The man quick to speak often regrets his words. The man quick to act often misjudges what is truly happening. But the man who waits, who watches, who weighs the moment, he moves only when he is certain. And when he moves, he does not miss. Think of your life like a fire. You only have so much fuel. You can waste it throwing sparks at every shadow, or you can conserve it, refine it, and release it when the moment truly demands it. The strongest warriors aren't the ones who swing at everything. They are the ones who stand still, observe the battlefield, and wait for their enemy to reveal a weakness. Then they strike, once, hard, clean. That's how you must live. That's how you must lead. With patience as your shield and discipline as your sword. So the next time someone tests you, pause. Ask yourself, is this battle worthy of me? Or is it just noise trying to pull me off my path? Then walk away, not in fear, not in defeat, but in control. Because real power is not proven in how loudly you react, but in how quietly you endure and then excel. Guard your energy. Save your fire. Win with patience. Patience is not passive, it is strategic power. Many confuse patience with hesitation, believing it is the absence of action, a weak acceptance of delay. But nothing could be further from the truth. Patience, when trained, is not weakness, it is refined strength. It is not idleness, but strategic restraint. To wait with purpose is the highest form of discipline. It is the art of doing only what matters, while ignoring the noise, distractions, and false urgency that trap the average man. You don't wait because you're lost. You wait because you know exactly where you're going, and you won't waste your steps. A patient man isn't idle, he's deliberate. Every pause is not confusion, but control. He isn't avoiding action, he's preparing for the right action. In that stillness, he sharpens his awareness. In that silence, he calculates his next move. While others scramble to look busy, he stores energy, gathers intelligence, and refines his direction. Real patience is a tool. More than that, it is a weapon. It outlasts the reckless, exhausts the impulsive, and sees clearly while others are blinded by emotion. Patience allows you to sit through storms without being pulled into them. It is not retreat, it is preparation. It lets the noise pass so you can hear the signal. It allows others to reveal themselves while you remain hidden, composed, unshaken. Why is patience strategy? Because strategy is not speed, it is timing. And timing belongs to the one who watches longest, not the one who moves first. The patient man studies. He maps the terrain, observes patterns, prepares for disruption. He doesn't react to every flicker. He waits for the fire to reveal its direction. Then, and only then, does he act with precision and force. Think of the hunter in the deep woods. He rises before dawn, moves without a sound. He knows his prey is near, yet he does not rush. Hours pass. The wind shifts. The forest stirs. He watches, adjusts, and when the moment comes, he does not hesitate. He does not miss. Now imagine bringing that same level of still awareness to your life. How different would your days look if you stopped responding to pressure and instead moved with pure intent? How much more could you accomplish if you stopped being pulled by every demand, every emotion, every distraction, and instead chose when and how to act? That is what patience makes possible. It gives you leverage, and leverage lets you move mountains with a finger instead of a fist. You no longer rely on brute force or burn out trying to control every variable. You conserve your strength and use it where it matters most. In a world where men are taught to move fast, speak fast, and prove themselves at every turn, the patient man becomes a rare force. He doesn't reveal his plan, argue with fools, or race for visibility. He waits, he builds, he watches others exhaust themselves, and when he moves, everything shifts. But understand this, patience is not natural, it must be trained. It is forged in discomfort, in the moments when your instincts scream to act, and you choose instead to pause, to breathe, to watch. It is the quiet internal discipline of a man with nothing to prove, but everything to protect. You will be tempted again and again to chase what isn't ready, to respond to what isn't worthy, to act before the ground is firm. But the man who endures that pressure without flinching becomes unstoppable. While others react to life, he commands it. He doesn't chase outcomes, he chooses them. So ask yourself, how much energy have you wasted on unnecessary motion? How many battles have you fought that required not your sword, but your silence? What heights could you reach if you moved only when the moment was right? Patience is not just virtue, it is advantage. It is clarity in the fog, stillness before the strike, and the edge that turns ordinary men into legends. Move with intention, not impatience. Wait, not out of fear, but out of confidence, and let the world see what it means to act with mastery. The man who waits builds a fortress while others build tents. Life doesn't ask if you're ready before it tests you. It simply arrives, with pressure, with resistance, with storms that shake the ground beneath your feet. And in those moments, the truth of your structure is revealed. What is built in haste, thrown together for show, applause, or speed, will not hold. It bends, it breaks, and it is swept away. But what you build with intention, brick by brick, with patience and care, will stand through not just one storm, but many. Most men rush toward visibility. They crave recognition now, chasing the crown before they've earned the scars. Their eyes stay fixed on the surface. They live for attention, applause, and validation. They build fast because waiting feels uncomfortable. They avoid laying deep foundations because foundations take time. They skip testing their materials because testing delays the thrill of being finished. But speed comes with a cost. When the storms arrive, as they always do, their walls collapse under the weight of what they never prepared for. But you are different. Your focus is endurance. You are not here to be loud. You are here to last. You're not building for admiration. You're building for legacy. That means being willing to disappear for a season, to be unseen, to dig where no one claps, to lay stones while others sprint ahead with sticks. Because you understand something they don't. Legacy takes time. The patient man lasts longer because he refuses to trade a fleeting moment of excitement for a lifetime of meaning. He doesn't just build tall. He builds deep. He invests his time where it matters most. He checks his foundation again and again, not from doubt, but from honor. He isn't building a tent for the weekend. He's building a fortress for generations. Picture two builders standing side by side. One rushes, using cloth, rope, and weak wood. By sunset, his structure is finished. It gets attention. It looks impressive, but it's hollow. The other builder takes his time. He digs. He measures. He studies the land. He carries heavy stones and lays them one by one. It is slow, invisible, and often lonely. But when the skies darken and the storms rise, only one man sleeps dry. Only one wakes to find his work untouched. The other scrambles to salvage what's left because he built for speed, not survival. So ask yourself, are you building your life like a tent or a fortress? Are your moves quick for attention or steady enough to make you unshakable? Patience is not the absence of ambition. It is ambition with direction. It is not a lack of desire. It is the control of it. True greatness is never achieved by racing ahead, but by going deeper than others are willing to go. Patience allows you to withstand the first storm, the second, and every storm that follows. It gives you something greater than applause. It gives you peace. Peace in knowing you never cut corners. Peace in knowing you didn't fake your way to the top. Peace in knowing what you've built will still stand long after the noise fades. Let others race. Let them build fast and fall just as quickly. You are not here for speed. You are here for forever. Build slow. Build solid. And when the world shakes, you won't. Hold the line. Because success belongs to the man who endures. You won't win simply because you started strong. You will win because you stayed strong when others gave up. When the path grew lonely. When results didn't come as quickly as you hoped. The world loves the beginning, the spark, the launch, the fresh idea. But it rarely honors the grind. It overlooks the man who shows up quietly, day after day, refusing to break, refusing to fade, refusing to vanish. That man, the one who holds the line when others retreat, is the one who reaches the summit. You don't need to move fast. You need to stay standing. You must still be there after the excitement fades, after the motivation disappears, after the crowd goes home. Every man begins his journey with energy. That part is easy. The start always feels good. But finishing requires something deeper, something forged in silence. Why do so few finish? Because they built their mission on fleeting feelings. They mistook a spark for a fire. But you must build differently. You must build from purpose. You must carry a reason so strong that you'd rather suffer than quit. A reason that isn't shaken by a slow month, a missed chance, or a cold, empty night. That reason becomes your anchor, keeping you steady when storms roll in. Endurance is not loud, not glamorous, and it doesn't make headlines. It's built in stillness, in the days when you keep moving forward while everyone else walks away. When they sleep in, you rise. When they get bored, you dig deeper. When they mock, you stay focused. That's how you build something that lasts. That's how you become unbreakable. Why does endurance beat talent? Because endurance refuses to quit. While talent tires, while charm fades, while excitement burns out, endurance keeps going. It doesn't rely on feeling right. It simply chooses to stay in the fight. And what refuses to leave eventually wins. It wears down resistance, outlasts obstacles, and becomes inevitable. Picture yourself in a long race through a vast forest. At the start, the flashy runners sprint ahead, fast, loud, confident. They smile, laugh, and boast. You run quietly, steady, focused. They glance back and mock your pace. But hours pass, days even, and slowly they begin to fade. One by one they drop. Not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked endurance. And you are still moving. Not the fastest, but the one still standing. But still going, still breathing, still believing. And in the end, you're the one who finishes. Not because you impressed anyone at the start, but because you never stopped. That's the secret few want to accept. Consistency is more powerful than brilliance. Persistence beats potential, and showing up even when you don't feel like it matters more than anything else. So ask yourself today, are you building a spirit that endures, or one that flashes and fades? Are you chasing moments of attention, or creating a legacy of resilience? Will you remain when it's silent, when no one is watching, when your only audience is your future self? Greatness isn't defined by how quickly you rise. Anyone can rise fast, but only the grounded stay standing. Only the rooted grow tall. Only the committed reach the summit. The summit belongs to those who endure. Stay strong, not just today, but tomorrow and the day after that. This is how you win, not in a moment, but across a lifetime. Prepare in obscurity so you can perform in power. The spotlight is never the place to learn, it's the place to deliver. When the lights come on and the world turns its eyes to you, it's too late to train, too late to wish you had done more. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards preparation. And preparation isn't built in front of an audience. It's forged in silence, in solitude, in seasons when no one is watching and no one cares. That's where your edge is formed. That's where your power is sharpened. When no one is clapping, when no one is listening, when no one is coming to save you. Those are not wasted moments. They are the most important moments. The hours when your future is being built quietly, steadily, without applause. Learn to embrace obscurity, not as punishment, but as a gift. Because when no one is watching, you are free. Free to fail without fear, free to experiment, free to fall and rise again without judgment. In obscurity, you're not chasing applause, you're working toward mastery. Why does obscurity help you rise? Because it gives you space. It strips away the distractions of validation. It removes the urge to compare and plants you in pure soil, where growth runs deep, not decorative. In that quiet ground, roots take hold, muscles are forged, and vision sharpens. You're not building for attention, you're building for impact. The patient man doesn't rush to be seen. He isn't desperate for the stage or eager to impress before he's ready. Instead, he works, he trains, he sharpens his voice, his skill, his strength, not to be liked, but to be prepared. So when the curtain finally rises, he doesn't panic or pretend. He knows he belongs, because he built himself for that moment long before it came. Picture a playwright at his desk, candlelight flickering against the walls. Night after night, he writes and rewrites, reading his lines aloud. Again and again, he questions himself, discarding what doesn't work, refining what does. There is no crowd, no praise, no critics, just the grind of getting it right. Months pass, seasons change. Then opening night arrives. The curtain lifts, the room is packed, the audience breathless. And when the play ends, they rise to their feet in awe. They call him a genius, but he knows better. It wasn't genius, it was preparation. It was the silence that made the sound possible. Now ask yourself, are you using your quiet seasons to prepare, or wasting them? Waiting for someone to notice you? This is where many fail. They despise the silence. They hate the shadows. They crave attention before they're ready. They want praise without paying the price. But if you can't love the process, you'll never survive the pressure. If you can't work unseen, you won't hold your ground when all eyes are on you. What you do in private determines what you can handle in public. So shift your focus. Don't ask, when will I be recognized? Ask instead, when the door opens, will I be ready? Don't wish for a bigger platform if you haven't mastered your message. Don't dream of a crowd if you haven't learned how to stand firm in silence. The spotlight isn't earned through ambition, it's earned through discipline. It's built in the mornings you rise early, the nights you work unseen, the hours you prepare as if the opportunity is already yours. Let others chase fame. Let them post and pretend. You train in the quiet. You build in the background. Fall in love with the grind no one sees, because one day the lights will rise. And when they do, you won't tremble. You'll step forward like a man who has already been there 1,000 times in the dark. The power to withstand pressure is forged first in your mind. No storm can break a man whose mind is trained for it. The winds may howl, the waves may crash, the sky may darken, but the one forged in quiet preparation does not flinch. He doesn't run. He stands, not because the storm is weak, but because he has become strong. Understand this. You don't break because life is hard. You break because your thinking was soft. Hard times are not the exception, they are the rule. Life will test you, stretch you, and confront you with battles you never asked for. The danger isn't the storm. It's entering it without a mind conditioned to endure. The man who faces pain with patience isn't lucky or superhuman. He trained quietly, day after day, when no one was watching. He built mental armor thought by thought, until composure became second nature. He turned pressure into practice. You must become that man, the one who strengthens his mind while others distract theirs. Build not just muscles in the gym, but muscles in the soul. True strength is mental discipline, emotional stillness, forged not in comfort, but in struggle. It's built in the cold, in the silence, in rejection, delay, failure, and fear. Pressure is not your enemy. It's your mirror. It shows you what's inside. It exposes your cracks, reveals your core, strips away excuses. You can fake confidence in calm weather, but when the storm comes, only preparation speaks. Why does pressure reveal power? Because it squeezes out what's inside. Weakness leaks, but strength endures. It holds under weight, under chaos, even when the outcome is uncertain. The difference isn't in what a man faces. It's in who he chooses to become before the pressure arrives. Picture a black kettle on the fire. Flames rise, water boils, steam pushes hard against the lid. If the lid is weak, it rattles, shakes, and eventually blows off. But if it's strong, it holds firm. No panic, no cracks. The pressure builds inside, but the structure remains steady. That's your mind. That's what you must forge, not through panic, but through presence. So ask yourself, what are you doing to prepare your mind for hard times? Are you training your thoughts to bend without breaking? Or are you hoping ease will last forever? Resistance will come, not to discourage you, but to prepare you. This world rewards the man who endures, adapts, and rises, not the one who needs everything to go his way. You don't grow stronger by wishing for peace. You grow stronger by practicing it inside, even when the world burns around you. That starts small. When someone irritates you, don't explode, evaluate. When delays come, don't curse, stay calm. When plans fall apart, don't complain, compose yourself. These aren't signs of weakness. They are the marks of real power. They show the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you are in control of your energy. And here's the truth. Your ability to stay patient under pressure is your proof of power. Not how you act when things go right, but how you carry yourself when everything goes wrong. Anyone can be calm when life is smooth, but can you breathe steadily in uncertainty? Can you think clearly when emotions run high and the outcome is unknown? That is where your edge is forged. Think of history's strongest men. They weren't the loudest or the noisiest when times were easy. They made decisions while others lost their heads. They spoke less, but meant more. They moved slower yet struck harder, because they weren't merely reacting. They led from an inner peace. This is what you must build. A mind like iron, a heart that listens before it leaps, a soul tempered by fire that still chooses patience. The storms will come, that is certain. What's uncertain is whether you will be ready. So begin today, not with loud declarations, but with quiet discipline. Rise early, reflect deeply, steady your breath. Choose your thoughts with care, respond with purpose. Make your mind the one place chaos cannot invade. When your mind is trained, no storm can shake you. And when your patience is stronger than your pressure, nothing can break you. Every season has its reason, and every reason requires faith. Life isn't a straight line. It moves in cycles, turning like the earth. A time to sow, a time to reap, a time to rest, a time to fight. The wise man understands the rhythm of growth, but most fight against the season they're in. They demand harvest during planting, crave action during stillness, and in their impatience, they sabotage the very process designed to elevate them. The truth is, you don't fail because you lack ability. You fail because you don't wait. You must learn to discern the moment, to ask yourself, what is this season asking of me? Maybe it's a time to build quietly, maybe to prepare, or maybe to act boldly. But if you rush without listening, you burn energy in the wrong direction and end up drained instead of developed. This isn't passivity, it's wisdom. There are times when movement is required, and times when the greatest power is to stand still and trust. To keep working even when no results appear. That's not weakness, that's strength of vision. Because true faith always walks with patience. When the reward hasn't arrived, when plans are delayed, when it feels like nothing is changing, that's when belief is truly tested. Not belief in luck or fate, but in the law of cause and effect. What you sow, whether today or 10 months ago, will yield in time. But you must trust the process long enough to let it grow. Why do some men collapse when winter comes? Because they never prepared in autumn. They failed to store strength, to conserve, to sow. And when the cold arrived, they stood unready and surprised. They didn't fall because of the cold. They fell because they failed to respect the cycle. And when spring returned, they missed it because they had already stopped believing it would ever come. Their rhythm was lost, their inner clock broken. But not you. Picture a man building a vineyard. He buys the land, clears it, studies the soil, and plants young vines. The first year, nothing. The second, still barren. He waters, prunes, checks the roots. He waits. Neighbors mock him, whispering, "Why waste the time?" Yet he continues, silent, steady, faithful. Then one year, the season shifts. The vines bloom. Fruit bursts from the branches, grapes heavy with juice. The wine flows. The world sees the result and calls it luck. But he knows the truth. It was faith. Faith that kept working when nothing seemed to work. Faith that trusted the law. Faith that never rushed, but always prepared. This is the mindset of the master. The man who builds for legacy, not speed, not applause. So ask yourself honestly, are you trusting the season or demanding results on your terms? Are you working with time or fighting against it, frustrated because your timeline isn't being met? Success never ignores time, it honors it. It partners with it, studies the patterns of the universe, and aligns with them. That's why it lasts. If you want success to endure, stop forcing the bloom before the root is ready. Don't abandon the field just because the fruit hasn't arrived. Keep planting, keep tending, keep believing. Because time is not your enemy, it's your ally, but only if you walk with it, not against it. Every season has its purpose. Planting is where character is forged. Waiting is where faith is tested. Harvest is where patience is rewarded. And rest is where vision is renewed. Each season matters, and if you rush any of them, the cycle is broken. So don't envy the man who reaps today. You don't know how long he's been sowing. And don't pity the man who waits. He may be standing at the edge of greatness. Instead, be the man who knows his season, who works with confidence, who doesn't panic in silence, and doesn't boast in bloom. Honor the time you've been given, and trust the process unfolding. Because success isn't just about what you do, it's about when you do it. The man who moves with the seasons is always ready when the moment comes. You don't just win once, you win daily in your choices. Victory is not luck, not brilliance, not a single bold decision. Victory is a method, a steady, consistent practice of choosing what's right when it's hard, when it's unseen, and when no one else is watching. The man who wins once but lacks patience is like a match, bright for a moment, then gone. He burns bright for a moment, then disappears into smoke, a spark without a flame. But the man who wins daily, who makes the right choice again and again without applause or shortcuts, he rises and stays risen. Because his strength is not built on moments, it is built on method. Each day life hands you a battlefield, and often it is not a war against others, but a war within, against your emotions, your impulses, your doubts, the craving for comfort, and the voice whispering, "Just take the easy way today." That is the real fight, and that is where patience becomes power. Patience is choosing to win small before you ever win big. It's refusing to surrender the present to laziness, fear, or distraction. It's the quiet decision to keep building even when results feel distant. Why is daily discipline so powerful? Because discipline is more than a virtue. It is an architect. It designs the framework of your future, laying the foundation brick by brick. Every time you choose to think before reacting, to wait before speaking, to endure instead of escaping, you are not just being good. You are constructing a life. You are creating a fortress no storm can shake. Picture a sculptor standing before a massive block of stone. The crowd doesn't gather on day one. There is no applause, no visible progress, only silence, sweat, and solitude. But he shows up. He studies the angles, lifts his chisel, and strikes, not wildly, but with focus. He chips away, steps back, measures, adjusts, and strikes again. Not once, not 10 times, but hundreds, thousands. Days turn into months, and then, one morning, it takes shape. The figure emerges, the lines sharpen, and the beauty hidden in the stone becomes visible. The crowd gasps and calls it brilliance. But the sculptor remembers the early mornings, the long nights, the aching arms, the days when nothing seemed to change except his choice to keep going. The masterpiece was never made in a moment. It was built through a method. And so the question comes to you. Are you showing up today, or just hoping tomorrow fixes itself? Are you expecting results without responsibility, dreaming of victory without the discipline to earn it? Victory doesn't come to those waiting for motivation. It comes to those who act with method, day after day, especially when motivation is gone. The man who wins in life isn't always the most talented, the loudest, or the luckiest. He's the one who trained himself to endure the silence, to show up when nothing was exciting, to push when no one was watching, to keep his standard high even when no one would notice if he slipped. He's the one who says, I don't need to win everything today, but I will not lose myself today. That small win is everything. Because true victory isn't found only at the finish line. It's in the footsteps, in how you rise, how you carry yourself when the outcome is uncertain, in the habits you build when the spotlight is off. Every day is a vote for the man you are becoming. Every choice is a brick, every action a chisel strike on the sculpture of your character. If you believe your future depends on one big moment, you're mistaken. It's being decided right now. It's shaped in how you spend this hour, in the thoughts you allow or reject, in the promises you keep or break with yourself. Let the world chase after flashy moments. You, instead, build something solid and lasting. Victory isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. It's who you are when no one is watching. It's what you do when results are delayed, when life feels heavy and hope runs thin. So ask yourself today, what does winning look like for me right now? Maybe it's showing restraint, staying focused for one more hour, or sticking to your plan when emotions tempt you to quit. Do that, and then repeat it tomorrow. You don't need a miracle, you need a method. You don't need explosive change, you need quiet consistency. Let others collapse, chasing easy success. You build your edge in the daily grind, in the ordinary, in the unseen. Because one day, that patience will turn into undeniable power. And when others wonder how you suddenly made it, you'll know, it wasn't sudden, it wasn't magic. It was earned, one disciplined day at a time. True power doesn't shout, it waits, it watches, and when the moment comes, it moves with unstoppable force. Learn to wait quietly and strike with intention, and success becomes inevitable. Master patience, and the world may mistake your calm for weakness, until it's far too late to stop your rise. Wishing you health, happiness, and remember to subscribe to my channel, Mindset Daily.